Pokemon Black and White 2 have been announced, and there's been a lot of lead up to this announcement, with fans speculating on the theoretical third version of Pokemon Black and White, sort of a director's cut, sort of like how Yellow was to Red and Blue, or how Platinum was to Diamond and Pearl. But this is Pokemon Black and White 2 is sort of being pitched, from what little we know, as a direct sequel to Pokemon Black and White, kind of like how Final Fantasy X-2 was a direct sequel to Final Fantasy X, even though all the games before were technically sequels to the original Final Fantasy. And I'm absolutely thrilled. Now the Unova region, if you somehow don't know this, is based on the New York City metropolitan area. I grew up in New York City. I live around there, and really, to have, even back in Red and Blue days, I sort of fantasized about a Pokemon game based on that region. So when it actually happened, like the entire game, it was everything about Pokemon Black and White has just been a huge wish fulfillment fantasy for me. Have the possibility of another game being based on Unova or even expanding on it. Like I made a fan made map where I added a bit to the east of the map of Unova, sort of adding what would be on the far side of Undella Bay based on the actual map of the geography of New York City. So that's extremely exciting for me. Continuing the story. I mean, there were a lot of just the way it ended. I'm like, wow, like this really lends itself to a direct sequel. And how are they going to do that? And they actually, did something, mix things up, and are going to have based on what we know, a direct sequel to that game's, story or settings or events somehow or another. So I'm very excited about that. Now, a lot of people were just outraged at Nintendo, like, why is it for the DS? How dare it be for the DS? They should have made it for 3DS. Screw you, Nintendo. We bought the 3DS. Now you don't even care about the 3DS, and this game should have been for 3DS, and this is just a waste opportunity. And you really just need to calm the heck down. I mean, no, this game is coming as early as like autumn in the U.S. In Japan, it's coming in just a couple of months. So it's pretty clear that they're working on this alongside Pokemon Black and White. And with that in mind, I mean, they conceived this for a Nintendo DS. And I'd rather have a great Nintendo DS game than to just have them just dump this on a 3DS cartridge and tack on some bad 3D effects and sell it as a 3DS game. Whereas now we're complaining that it's not on the 3DS. And whereas if this was conceived and designed and developed as a Nintendo DS game. So would you rather have it be on the DS and be fully playable on Nintendo 3DS? Or would you rather have them just like rush it and just shoehorn it onto the 3DS and have no spot pass functionality, no street pass functionality, limited online capabilities, graphics not at all befitting of what Nintendo 3DS is capable of? No, I let them use this to use this opportunity to spend their time on making a proper Nintendo 3DS Pokemon game, fully leveraging what the Nintendo 3DS has to offer, and have that be the real Pokemon 8th generation game for a proper 8th generation handheld, and not just take a Nintendo DS game and just like sort of just slap it on the 3DS just to try to sell more 3DSs to people who haven't upgraded yet. I mean, and I bought 3DS on day one, and I'm totally thrilled that this game is going to be for DS, because that lets me. They're going to have one more proper Pokemon adventure, possibly even set in Unova or an expanded version of Unova, fully playable on the big beautiful screens of the DSi XL. I bought this after the 3DS. I bought the DSi XL just to play Pokemon Black on, because Unova being this big wish fulfillment thing for me, being a New Yorker, I wanted to experience this game in like the biggest, most grandest way possible, and that was on the Nintendo DSi XL. And so I'm really thrilled that I'm going to be able to play the direct sequel to these games on the DSi XL. Something ridiculous I've seen. People are saying that, it's just a rehash of Black and White with, they just basically took Pokemon Gray, which the third versions are basically, if you don't know, they're basically just sort of director's cut versions of the original games. and no, they're just taking the third version and slapping it on the and just making two versions of it and calling it a sequel. And there's no reason to believe that based on what little we know at this point. I mean, Junichi Masuda basically called it a sequel, a continuation of Pokemon Black and White before they even announced it. I mean, I've so and the craziest thing I've seen is people looking at the US website for Pokemon where it's announced and saying, "Oh, it's not Pokemon Black and White 2, it's Pokemon Black version 2 and Pokemon White version 2." As in like version 1 and then version 2 being like the remake. I mean, no. Okay, the official names of these games in English is Pokemon Black version and Pokemon White version. Therefore, the sequels, the follow-ups are going to be Pokemon Black version 2 and Pokemon White version 2. Uh, that's all I have to say. I haven't gone through all the. I haven't even gone through the post Elite Four regions of Black yet, which is the version I got. I got when it came out, and so I have to go through that. I have to level up my Pokemon a bit more first because there's this huge level increase after you beat the Elite Four, which is kind of silly. And then I'd like to play through White for the differences, and just so I could have a game if I ever want to restart, start a fresh game without losing all the Pokemon that I like to save and keep and battle with. So I just have a version I can do just for that, and then I'll get to play Pokemon Black and White too, which is pretty awesome. Chances are the effects like this, if the storyline is like a direct continuation of the storyline from Black and White, it's probably going to mess with this novel length fic I've been trying to write called Wind and Rain or something like that. I pretend I'm going to write it, but I'm probably never going to finish it. But yeah, so it's probably going to mess with that a lot. But I don't mind because the more Pokemon fun, the better. So that's all I have to say about that. And thank you very much for watching.